you say that I act like a know-it-all.
You act like a
You know what I
know-it-all.
mean? Like yeah, I act like a know-it-all. Like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Because you
they'll
knew
be like,
more than them.
yeah, or something came to me naturally. See, it's a
Right.
difference between being natural and being normal. You know what I'm saying? And a
Okay,
lot of
explain
people
that.
get that mixed up.
Explain that.
Like,
What's the difference?
okay, the natural thing to do, like if I see somebody um like in need, they didn't have a
Right.
car wreck, so people hurt in the car.
The
The
natural
natural
thing to do is
thing
to
to
go to their
do,
assistance.
exactly. You know what
But
I'm saying?
the
But
normal thing would do, people would think that they would go to somebody. That would be normal, but things that's supposed to be normal might not necessarily go that way. But things that are
exactly.
natural is going to go the way that it's supposed to go.
It's supposed to go.
All right,
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly.
But see,
Yeah.
uh, when we are dealing with our brothers and sisters, we have to be conscious and aware that they're not, a lot of them are not reading and studying the things that we are studying, and that we might be more advanced than
Yeah, you're
them
right
in
about that.
certain fields, but on the other level, they may
Hmm.
be advanced than us in other fields because there's some things that they know and studied and that we don't.
Yeah, it's just like for instance to say myself.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? When I came to you, I had knowledge of certain things, but then again, I had to realize that I had been misled. So the thing for me was getting the right information.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to him and get the right information.
But
So I won't,
what made you think that I had the right information?
because you was teaching me before you even knew who I was. You know what I'm saying? Like I would read your posts. You know what I mean? I would see how the people responded to your post, the truth. You know what I mean? Like how you present truth. It was always simple. It wasn't nothing, never too extravagant or as you would say, high minded that people could understand. You know what I mean? Your basic message. This has always been your basic message. Do the work.
Do the
You
work.
know what I mean? More than anything, you ain't never said nothing outside of the premise of doing the work. So that's what drawn me to you more than anything, because I seen an individual who was about doing the work, you know what I mean, and really living the vision, showing individuals that living the vision is attainable if you apply yourself.
Exactly.
So that within itself, you know what I mean, draw me to you more than anything.
See, that's the hardest
Ever
level to
since
get
then.
on, though, brother. The level of reading and studying. That's the
You're right about that.
hardest step to get on. See, remember we was talking about the elevator, right? How the elevator go
Exactly.
up and down, up and down,
Up, down,
up and
up and
down.
down.
Now let's keep that same elevator analogy, right?
Exactly.
The door open. Woo. The normal thing to do is to step on the elevator, right?
Step on the elevator naturally.
You know what I'm saying? Go on the elevator. You know the
Exactly.
elevator is gonna take you up or down,
Up
right?
or down.
So
Exactly.
now, but what some people's are dealing with, what the natural thing to do is to step on the elevator to get to where you're trying to go up on the floor or to go down on the floor.
Hmm.
Some people's or a lot of people's are afraid to get on that elevator.
You're right
They
about
would
that.
the door open for them.
Hmm.
The, the elevator can get you where you need to be at, but
Exactly.
they would rather stay on the outside of the elevator and just watch the numbers go up and down, up and down, up and
down.
That's it. But they ain't never stepped on the elevator. And that's the same thing I'm saying about knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for them to get there because they are afraid to open up a book. Yep. They're afraid to read. They're afraid to study. Yep. And they would rather take the word of somebody else. See, mm-hmm. in more science, we believe this here, man knows not by being told. You are only guessing. You're assuming. You follow what somebody else is telling you. So exactly. You study and you ask questions and you go back and you study some more. That's what the blueprint teaches us. The blueprint say, okay, we're supposed to go in the classroom, sit down, let the leadership teach us, go out, see if that works, come back, get some more, mm-hmm. take that back out, teach some more, execute it. That's the elevator.
That's the elevator.
That's that elevator.
Yes, it is.
It's like when me and you start communicating, I was giving you a little bit. And the more you got comfortable and the more you get, I was seeing that you was able to grasp it and to catch it, I was giving you more. I was telling you more. I was showing you more. Because now you're able to comprehend it and to understand it. So now you moving so to the point now, it's like, we the right hand and the left hand. We working together.
Yes, it is.
You be reading stuff and studying things that I don't even pay attention to. You keep up with everything that's going on. And I be like, oh, I ain't know that. Oh, I ain't know that. All I know is that, okay, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
This is how we should do it. But if we don't do it that way, here's a plan B. Your job comes in as after we execute it, now you start looking at the results of the execution. So everyone has responsibility, everybody has to do their share, right? Right?
Exactly.
Everyone must do their share, everybody has responsibility for we make up the organizations, individuals will come together to collect. All right.
Exactly.
That's what we have to do, man. But our young men and women don't understand this here because this generation here has become the me generation.
Yeah.
And why have they become the me generation? Because a lot of their parents are either dead, in jail, or sprung out on drugs. They are crack babies themselves, or dope babies, heroin babies, some type of drug babies, and they come out and they raising themselves. The so-called leaders in the neighborhood are not real leaders. And the reason they are not real leaders because these are the ones, the leftovers after the real leaders was gone and they feel the void. However, I give them their props for filling that void, but they don't know nothing.
Exactly.
They stepped up. They stepped up.
Yeah.
But did you learn what your responsibilities were once you stepped up?
Exactly.
Exactly. Let me show you this here.
And see, you know, that's the you know, I like that analogy because, you know, it takes me back to what I said in one of the earlier awareness sessions. You know what I mean? When it comes to being aware or having a sense of awareness, you know, there's three types of being conscious. You know what I'm saying? Either you pre-conscious, you somewhat know, either you conscious in the knowing, or you're conscious, unconscious, and unknowing. You know what I mean? And those three levels represent the awareness that we see within the individuals that we deal with today.
Okay, so now,
You know what I mean?
now let's see if we can do this here. Let's see if this correlates with what you just said. There are three kinds of peoples in the world. Those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, those that wonder what happened. So now you got the conscious, then you have the semi-conscious, then you have the unconscious. Because the unconscious are those the ones that's wondering. They really don't know.
They really don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
They have no clue.
Okay, so
they
now
have no clue.
It's our job to bring those that's unconscious into a conscious state. And those who are already in a conscious state, they have a responsibility to go back and to bring those who are semi-conscious and unconscious into a conscious state. That is your job. That is doing the work. You cannot just look at yourself and say, man, I ain't messing with these. I ain't messing with these shorties, man. These shorties crazy.
Yeah.
No.
And see, that's the mindset of a lot of individuals. You know what I mean? Even with some of these leaders who stepped up, you know, they look at the shorty and it's like, okay, you know, he too wild. I can't talk to him. Or I can't talk to her because they think they know everything. You know, and it's our responsibility to, you know, be patient, you know, because we have to realize that everybody is not on the same level. And it goes back to what you said about the elevator.
Yeah.
Those who represent the know or the knowing, you know, they have to be able to come down and teach those who are unknowing to help them, you know what I'm saying, come up to the knowing.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
So it all correlates to what you said about the elevator, the analogy, the allegory of you know what I'm saying, the elevator. You know, because that within itself represents those of us who are in the knowing to humble ourselves and help those who are in the unknown.
That's why it's called, and you just took the words right out of my mouth. That's why I say, do the work. Do the work. That's all that is.
Exactly.
Do the work. A man's deed speaks louder than his creed. Because your creed, your deeds are your actions. Your creed is your belief.
Your belief, exactly.
You can believe anything, but are you acting on your belief?
Exactly. There's got to be some work. You know what
That's
I mean?
Right.
It just goes back to, you know, a scripture in the Bible says, faith without works is dead.
That's right.
You know, so if I believe something and I have faith that this works, you know what I mean, I'll put forth the effort. It's just like when I say I love somebody.
What are you saying to him?
If I say that I love you, I'm telling you that I am willing to accept responsibility for you, and I am willing to share responsibility with you. You know what I'm saying? But I just can't love somebody and not put in and not show the action of what love really is all about.
So love is an action game.
I have to, yeah, it's an action word.
So that means this falls upon the noun then. Is it a noun?
Exactly. Or is it a verb? Person, place, a thing.
Yeah. So what is actions is what?
Actions are they're verbs.
Okay, no.
That's a verb.
Is an action a person, place, or thing?
No, an action is not a person, place, or thing. A noun is a person, place, thing.
Oh, that's what I'm saying though. I said an action.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I'm saying an action. I'm not saying it's the action. If it's the verb or not. I'm asking, is it Because if you could look in the dictionary, and some dictionaries are going to tell you that love is a noun.
Love is a noun, exactly.
Yeah, so that means it has to either be a person, place, or thing. So
it's exactly.
So is actions a thing? If we just building here. I'm not exactly. Questioning you. We building. We basically like in a study session right now. So I'm not saying that this is the truth, but I could go right here. I can go on this junky desk and find what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Then I got to take my free samples off and put my other ones on. You know.
Exactly.
So I can go in here and see what's going on. All right. So we're gonna find this here. I wanna find this here because this is just a building session. We building. Ain't no specific topic. And we ain't going nowhere with this here. We just building. These are outtakes on what we do. This is how you supposed to study. This is how you get to know your brother. This is how you get to know your sister, because you build with them and you ask them questions and they ask you questions.
So are we looking at the word
they
love,
got the
right?
word love as a noun. In my dictionary, they got the word love. The first thing they got, love, L-U-V, in parentheses with the letter N.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So that means it has to be a thing.
That's exactly actions, what it say in my dictionary.
It's not a place. It's not a person. It's a thing.
Exactly. It's a thing, though. Yeah, because it says it's an intense affection and concern for another human being. So it is a thing.
It's a thing.
Exactly right.
So it's a noun. So that means you got to put that work in.
Mm-hmm.
Do the work.
Do the work.
Do the work. You know?
Do the work.
And long as we're doing the work, that's what counts, man. And we have to be that living, shining example, because you can do all the great things in the world and slip up one time, and all the things that you have done,
and everything,
but it's wiped out. You know, it's wiped out. So we have to be careful. We have to be conscious on the people that we allow around us. We have to be conscious of the information that we're taking inside our heads. We have to be conscious on the things that we say, because people are listening.
Yeah,
they are listening. They are watching
and some of them will do their own investigation.
That's right.
You know what I mean? One thing that I learned, one thing, and I just wanted to share this. I grew up in the church all my life. My dad, you know what I'm saying, is a preacher. My family, my great-grandparent, he, was a pastor, and the thing is, to me, when they tell us to study the Bible, you know what I'm saying, just like we study the blueprint. You know what I'm saying? The Greeks use this word zeteo to investigate. It means to investigate or to inquire. So the same reasoning, that same mechanism that I use to study the Bible is the same way I study the blueprint.
You're supposed to.
What I'm saying? So with me sharing that with you and, other brothers and sisters, and when I say that, I'm not just talking about Black people, I'm talking about people in general, is pivotal to knowing or being in the know.
Let me show you. Watch this here, bro. Watch this here. And I want people to understand what I'm finna do, because we always talk about this particular piece. A lot of guys love this particular piece, man, because they say that's the piece that set them on course, right? And it's called the organizational structure, right?
Exactly.
Now, I'm gonna read something. It says, we must affirm anew the discipline of the party, namely, the individual is subordinate to the organization. The minority is subordinate to the majority. The lower level is subordinate to the higher level, and the entire membership is subordinate to the central committee. Whoever violates these articles of discipline disrupt party unity. Do that sound familiar?
Sound very familiar.
So if it sounds familiar, where did it come from? We know it as the organizational structure, right?
Exactly.
But most people don't know that this comes from right here. The quotations by Chairman Mao Zedong. Most people don't know that. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, because the reason is, you know, they're not being taught. You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? They're not being taught. So it's up to brothers like me and yourself to continue to educate them.
So now when I look at this, book, you know what I see? I see geniuses that was studying. So I want to study the same thing that the originals were studying. Because if I'm studying what they were studying, it puts me in their mindset. I become them.
Exactly. Okay. And you know, that's so affirming, because when I was talking to Brother Leland yesterday, the thing that he told me is that when we study the blueprint, right, we see things the same way the master of the vision saw it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So what you said, just it lines up exactly. That's what I call confirmation, because you know that's how you know when individuals are on the same page, because you didn't, you know, we wasn't even, you know, saying, like, before you said that, you know, we was talking about a whole nother situation. But you know, by you bringing out that truth on where the OS came from, the organizational structure came from, that correlated exactly with what Brother Leland said. You know, we have to be a reflection of the originals.
So now,
you know what I mean?
Positive lifestyle management, reconstructed minds, Project Righteous Endeavors. We all have our own particular platforms. However, you and I run positive lifestyle management hand in hand. All right.
Exactly.
But we all on the same page, even though we're doing different things. It's all the same work.
Exactly.
Everybody's doing the work. And this is where guys have to learn how to put personal ego to the side to see, okay, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Yeah. And if it's bigger than me, then I got to think for the bigger picture. I got to be able to look at the bigger picture, not just my little minuscule world.
Exactly. You got to look beyond yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is a we thing, you know? And when we all realize that we need to be on the same page, you know, they will see the glory of the organization.
I see it. You know why I see it? I always look back to July the 24th, 2020. That was the first day that I came home from the halfway house.
Yes, sir.
That was my first day, actually, home out of the halfway house.
Exactly.
But then I look at where I was at then, and I look at where we were at then, and I look at where I'm at today, and I look at where we are today as a whole, and I see growth, but I also see much room for improvement. Let me show you why.
Mm-hmm.
See, this comes from something else too. You know, so we have to be able to see that. In the voice vision, it says, we would not allow yesterday's success to lure us into today's complacency. For this is the great foundation of failure. So we can't look at what we did yesterday and not focus on today. So I'm always looking to see, okay, today was a good day. Last year up to this time was good. Okay, where are we going to be at next year this time? Where are we going to be at next year?
Exactly. We have to continue to move forward.
Man,
you
to
know,
stand
even
still
though,
is to die, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so now, you know where I'm finna go get that at? Our past will serve as a motivating force that will enable us to have a glorious future. It is a necessity that we go through changes, to either growing or dying, to stand still as to die. Our leadership has decided that we will live and flourish into something great. So if we stand still, we're gonna die.
We're gonna die, exactly.
So we have to continue to be moving forward. We cannot allow what we achieved yesterday to be the cure-all for today. That was yesterday.
Exactly.
What about now?
Exactly.
You know.
What about now?
What about now?
We gotta live in the now.
And prepare for tomorrow.
Exactly.
Because proper preparation prevents poor performance.
With the system of the 5 P's.
That's right.